Men can handle rejection. Simple no thank you is totally fine. What they can't handle is humiliation. Eye rolls, the disgusted faces, the whispering to friends, or even recording those moments to post them online. It's not that men fear the word no. They fear being embarrassed or mocked for doing something very normal. And the problem isn't rejection. It's the way some women deliver it. And that's why men stopped trying.
Have you ever watched an empire collapse in real time and nobody around you even notices the walls are already crumbling? Right now, in 2025, we are living through the greatest social shift most of us will ever see, and it is happening so fast that the people who caused it still believe they are winning. Women spent 50 years telling men they were obsolete, toxic, unnecessary, and guess what happened next? Men listened. Men actually listened. And when men finally walked away for good, something terrifying started happening to the women who thought they would never need us again. By the time you finish watching this video, you are going to see exactly why millions of men are never coming back, why women are suddenly waking up in a world that feels completely alien to them, and why every single day that passes makes the gap wider, the consequences heavier, and the future darker for the very group that screamed, "The future is female," the loudest. Stay until the very end, because I'm going to show you the one black pill truth that ties all of this together and will probably keep you up at night once you finally see it. If you want more raw, no filter, angry guy content the second it drops, smash that like button right now. Share this video with every man you know who needs to hear this. Subscribe and hit the notification bell. And make sure you select all so YouTube can't hide these videos from you. We are building the largest waking army of men on this platform, and I need you in it. Also, if you want to protect everything you are working for and actually grow real wealth in this collapsing system, go check out Angry's Crypto Academy right now. The full academy is linked in the description below. You will learn step by step how to buy, sell, trade, and most importantly, how to keep your assets safe from a system that is actively hunting men's money. Click that link and get in today. And if these videos are hitting you in the chest the way they are supposed to, show some love and buy me a Red Bull through the link in the description. Every can keeps the fire coming. Now let's get into it. Women are learning, often for the very first time in their lives, that actions actually have consequences. Not the cute little consequences they were used to dodging with a tearful apology or a viral TikTok claiming victimhood, but real life altering, irreversible consequences. Video after video is popping up across every platform of women in their late 20s, 30s, and even early 40s, staring into their ring lights with genuine confusion and panic, asking the same question: where did all the men go? They post clips of themselves walking through crowded cities, malls, grocery stores, coffee shops, and they notice something eerie, something that sends chills down their spine when they finally admit it out loud. Men are no longer looking at them. Men are not approaching. Men are not offering to carry the heavy bag. Men are not offering the seat on the train. Men are not sliding into the DMs. Men are not asking them out. Men are not paying for dinner. Men are not sending money to the Cash App in the bio anymore. The privilege that women spent decades treating like an infinite resource has quietly, calmly, and collectively run out. And the craziest part is most of them still don't understand how this happened. They genuinely believe this drought appeared out of nowhere. They think men woke up one day and randomly decided to become shy or lazy or afraid. The truth is far more brutal and far more earned. Men didn't vanish overnight. Men were pushed, nagged, shamed, legislated, and litigated out of women's lives, one slow, painful inch at a time for over half a century, until one day the last straw snapped and millions of men simply chose peace over chaos. They chose solitude over servitude. They chose self respect over being a walking ATM with a pulse. And once men tasted real peace for the first time in their adult lives, once they realized how quiet life becomes when you remove the endless drama, demands, and disrespect, there was no going back. Ever. Let me paint the picture for you so you can see exactly how we got here. Imagine a man in 1985. He works hard, he comes home, he provides, he protects, he fixes the car, he mows the lawn, he coaches little league on the weekends. He believes if he just does everything right, his wife will respect him and his children will admire him. Fast forward to 2005, and that same man is now being told in divorce court that he is a monster for wanting to see his own children more than 4 days a month. He is told his earnings for the next 15 years belong to a woman who openly cheated on him and laughed about it with her friends. He is told his masculinity itself is the problem. He is called toxic for wanting to lead, protect, and provide. He is mocked for opening doors, for paying for dates, for offering his jacket when it's cold. He is recorded on hidden cameras at the gym and shamed online for daring to glance in the direction of a woman wearing painted on leggings while she films herself doing hip thrusts for internet points. Now take that same treatment and stretch it across 3 generations of boys growing up watching their fathers destroyed, watching their teachers punished for disciplining students, watching their favorite celebrities canceled for a joke from 10 years ago, watching every natural male instinct pathologized and criminalized. Boys learned very early that the world no longer wanted men. It wanted compliant, quiet, high earning, emotionally available utilities that never complained and never asked for anything in return. And one day, millions of those boys grew up, looked around, and made a collective decision that shook the foundations of society to its core. If the world doesn't want men, then the world will no longer have men. Not in the way it used to, at least. Men walked away quietly, calmly, without announcement or fanfare. No protests in the streets, no angry manifestos, just millions of men choosing every single day to keep their time, their money, their attention, their energy, their peace, and their future for themselves. And the moment that critical mass was reached, the moment the scales finally tipped, the entire social contract that women had been casually rewriting for decades shattered overnight. The free meals stopped. The random Venmo payments stopped. The hey big head texts at 2 a.m. went unanswered. The orbiters disappeared. The simps went radio silent. The white knights hung up their capes. And women looked up from their phones one day and realized the party was over and every single guest had gone home without saying goodbye. And now the consequences are rolling in like a tidal wave they can't outrun. Rent is due, and the Cash App is dry. The car note is late, and there's no one to call daddy for help anymore. The fridge is empty, and the likes on Instagram don't buy groceries. The student loans are in default, and the gender studies degree didn't come with a husband like the professors promised. The biological clock is screaming, and the dating apps are graveyards of the bots and OnlyFans promotions. The walls are closing in, and for the first time in their lives, millions of women are staring at a future where no one is coming to save them. Not their fathers, not their exes, not the government, not the simp they dog walked for 3 years. No one. And the most delicious irony of all is that men are not angry anymore. That's the part that terrifies women the most when they finally figure it out. Men aren't raging. Men aren't begging. Men aren't crying in comment sections. Men are calm. Men are relaxed. Men are sleeping 8 hours a night. Men are hitting personal records in the gym. Men are traveling. Men are stacking money. Men are building businesses. Men are laughing with their brothers again. Men have discovered something women never thought possible. Life is actually better without the constant drama, the manipulation, the guilt trips, the silent treatment, the endless tests, the cheating, the paternity fraud, the false accusations, the weaponized tears. Men discovered peace, real peace, and once you taste real peace, you do not negotiate with chaos ever again. Women mistook male tolerance for male obligation. They thought the well of male goodwill was infinite. They thought they could shame men, bleed men dry, legislate against men, celebrate the destruction of men, and men would still show up the next day ready to provide and protect like nothing happened. They thought the mule would keep pulling the cart no matter how heavy the load became. And one day the mule looked at the mountain of bricks on his back, looked at the whip in the driver's hand, looked at the cliff up ahead, and simply sat down. The cart didn't move another inch, and the driver is still screaming at the mule to get up while the mule grazes peacefully in the shade for the first time in 50 years. This is not revenge. This is not punishment. This is cause and effect playing out on a civilizational scale. You spend half a century telling an entire gender they are defective, dangerous, and disposable, and eventually that gender believes you and acts accordingly. Hey guys, in a world pushing you to own nothing and be happy, crypto is your key to survival. Join Angry's Crypto Academy to master buying, selling, and trading crypto. Make huge profits and safeguard your wealth. Plus, discover the one crypto virtually no one is talking about, poised to create new millionaires in the upcoming bull run. The link is in the description of the video below. Go check it out now. You tell men often enough that their natural instincts are criminal, that their presence makes women feel unsafe, that their money is the only valuable thing about them. And one day, men internalize the message and give you exactly what you demanded: absence, total, complete, peaceful absence. And now, women are making the videos, hundreds of them every single day. I can't afford to live. Men won't even look at me. Dating is dead. I was lied to. I thought I could have it all. Where are all the good men? And the best part, the part that makes me laugh every single time, is when they end these tearful confessions with the same magical phrase they have been using as a get out of jail free card for decades. This isn't my fault. Lady, the receipts are all right there. You filmed them yourself. We all watched you celebrate the collapse of the very system you are now begging to have back. You told men you didn't need them, and men said, bet. You told men a woman is the table and a man is supposed to bring everything to that table, and men looked at the empty table and decided to eat somewhere else. You told men their desire to lead was toxic patriarchy, and men stepped down and let you lead straight off a cliff. You screamed, the future is female, from every rooftop, and men cleared the path and said, after you. You wanted to be independent. Congratulations, you are now more independent than any generation of women in human history. You wanted equality. You now have the glorious equality of paying your own bills, fixing your own flat tires, and coming home to an empty apartment with no one to talk to but your 60 houseplants and your overpriced therapy sessions that still haven't fixed the emptiness. Men are not coming back. That is the part you need. You need to tattoo on your soul if you are a woman watching this and feeling that panic rising in your chest. The men who walked away are not hiding in a cave, waiting for you to apologize. They are not secretly crying themselves to sleep at night, missing you. They are not plotting how to win you back. They are gone. They are at peace. They are financially stacking, physically jacked, mentally clear, and emotionally unbothered for the first time in their lives. And every day they stay gone, the likelihood of them ever returning drops to zero. And the funniest part about all of this, the part that still makes me shake my head in disbelief, is that women actually believed the state would ride in on a white horse and replace everything men used to provide. They genuinely thought trading husbands and fathers for government programs was a net upgrade. They marched in the streets chanting, my body, my choice, while quietly signing over their future children to a system that now legally owns those kids the moment they are born. They celebrated independence while becoming the most monitored, taxed, medicated, and controlled generation of women this planet has ever seen. They thought the state was their new husband, a rich, endless, tireless provider that would never leave and never ask for anything in return. And now the money printer is coughing up dust. The national debt is measured in tens of trillions. The Social Security lockbox is empty. The pension funds are collapsing, and the same government that promised them everything is quietly raising the retirement age, cutting benefits, and printing IOUs it can never cash. The new husband just filed for bankruptcy, and the prenup says everything you own now belongs to the creditors. Women traded men for the state, and the state is now broke, broken, and openly hostile to the very productivity it needs to survive. And the men they threw away, those men are sitting on cash, lifting weights in home gyms, eating steak they cook themselves, sleeping diagonally across king-size beds, and laughing at the nightly news showing another city going bankrupt while their crypto wallets keep climbing. The same men who were called deadbeats for wanting a simple family are now financially independent at 35. The same men who were called losers for playing video games in their 20s now have six-figure investment accounts because they never had to drain them for dates, weddings, divorces, or child support. The same men who were mocked as basement dwellers now own the entire house outright because they never had to co-sign a mortgage for a woman who wanted a bigger kitchen she would never cook in. Let me take you inside the mind of the modern man who has fully walked away so you understand why there is zero chance he is ever coming back. Picture this man. He wakes up at whatever time he wants. No screaming kids, no passive aggressive texts, no walking on eggshells, wondering which version of her is going to greet him today. He makes a pot of coffee for one. He trains. He works on his business. He reads. He meets his boys for wings and zero drama conversation. He travels when he feels like it. He spends his money on things that actually improve his life. He has zero debt, zero court dates, zero threats of paternity fraud, zero risk of coming home to an empty house and a U-Haul in the driveway. His phone is quiet. His mind is clear. His testosterone is high. His bank account is growing. His circle is tight. His peace is non-negotiable. Now ask yourself honestly, what exactly does the average modern woman bring to the table that could possibly convince this man to trade all of that for chaos again? The answer is nothing. There is no offer good enough. There is no apology sincere enough. There is no amount of tears real enough to make him surrender the greatest luxury he has ever known, peace of mind. And while men are experiencing this golden age of calm masculinity, women are slamming face first into the concrete wall of reality at full speed. They are discovering that independence is expensive, really expensive. They're discovering that being a strong, independent woman means coming home exhausted from a 60-hour work week to a dark apartment, heating up a frozen meal for one, scrolling through Instagram, looking at everyone else's highlight reel, and then crying in the shower because the silence is deafening. They are discovering that the same government that promised them everything now requires them to work until they are 70 just to afford basic survival, while the men they rejected are retiring at 45 with seven-figure net worths and zero obligations. They are discovering that the sisterhood is a myth, that other women will throw them under the bus the second it benefits them, that female friendships dissolve the moment money or status or a man enters the equation. They are discovering that the corporate world does not love them. It simply used them to double the labor pool and cut wages in half. They are discovering that the dating market they spent years rigging in their favor has now flipped completely upside down, and the same standards they weaponized against men are now being used by men to exclude them permanently. Let's talk about those standards for a second, because this is where it gets really brutal. Women spent the last 2 decades creating impossible checklists: 6 feet tall, six-figure income, six-pack abs, emotional availability on demand, perfect communication skills, unlimited patience, must love her cats, must pay for everything, must never ask for anything in return, must be okay with her having a higher body count than a World War II cemetery. And men looked at that list, looked at the risk reward ratio, looked at the divorce statistics, looked at the family court horror stories, looked at the false accusation culture, and collectively said, nah, I'm good. The same women who bragged about those standards on podcasts are now making tearful videos asking why men won't even say hello at the grocery store. The answer is simple. You priced yourselves out of your own market. You created a luxury product and then destroyed the only customer base willing to pay the asking price. Now you're sitting on a warehouse full of unsold inventory, wondering why nobody is shopping. And this is where ruthless compliance comes in, the single most powerful weapon men have developed in the last 10 years. Ruthless compliance is when men take everything women and society demanded at face value and then follow it to the letter until the system that created the demand collapses under its own weight. Women said, don't approach us. We'll approach you if we're interested. Men heard that and stopped approaching. Result? Dating apps are now 80% men and ghost towns for average women. Women said, stop staring. It's creepy. Men stopped looking entirely. Result? Women now complain that men won't even make eye contact. Women said, pay for everything or you're a broke loser. Men stopped dating entirely. Result? High-end restaurants are empty on Friday nights and going bankrupt. Women said, we don't need your protection. We have the police. Men stopped intervening when women were in danger. Result? Viral videos of women being attacked in broad daylight while crowds of men film and do nothing because she said she didn't need us. Women said, your masculinity is toxic. Men suppressed every natural masculine instinct. Result? Society is now filled with soft, passive, risk-averse males and women complaining there are no real men left. Ruthless compliance is the ultimate checkmate because it uses women's own words as the rope they hang themselves with. Look at South Korea for the perfect case study. South Korean women spent years screaming about male harassment, demanding stricter laws, demanding men be punished for even looking at them wrong. The men listened, organized, and pushed through legislation that makes it illegal to approach a woman more than 3 times if she shows disinterest. The same feminists who demanded protection suddenly realized the law they cheered for now means a man can legally ask once, maybe twice, and if she doesn't make up her mind instantly, he walks away forever and can never legally try again. The birth rate collapsed to 0.72 children per woman, the lowest in recorded human history, because men used women's own weapons against them and won without firing a single shot. That model is now spreading globally. Japan is doing it. China is doing it. Eastern Europe is doing it. The United States is doing it quietly in every major city. Men are building parallel societies, parallel economies, parallel lives that operate completely outside the system women spent decades rigging against them. And women are now trapped in the very system they thought would protect them. They wanted corporate jobs. They got them, along with 80-hour work weeks, burnout, and bosses who don't care about their mental health. They wanted sexual liberation. They got it, along with permanent damage to their ability to pair bond and a digital footprint that ensures no high-value man will ever commit. They wanted government as a husband. They got it, along with crushing taxation, endless surveillance, and the slow realization that the state views them as tax cattle, not princesses. They wanted men out of their lives. Congratulations, men are gone, and the silence is deafening. Every day, another video drops of a woman in her 30s sobbing into her ring light saying, I was lied to. I did everything I was supposed to do. I got the degree. I built the career. I traveled. I slept with whoever I wanted. I lived my truth. And now I'm 35, broke, childless, and no good man will even look at me. And every day, thousands of men watch those videos, nod, and go back to their peaceful lives because those tears are not our problem anymore. We warned you. We begged you to stop. We tried to show you where this road led. You laughed in our faces and called us insecure. Enjoy the destination you chose. The black pill truth that ties all of this together is simple and ice cold. Women are not honest about their own nature. And the moment men finally see that nature clearly and act accordingly, the game ends permanently. Women operate on emotion, not logic. Women rewrite history in real time to protect their ego. Women will say, I don't need a man, while secretly believing a man will always be there when they finally decide they want one. Women will say, I'm happy being single, while crying themselves to sleep every night. Women will say, I love my career, while dying inside from loneliness. And the moment men stop arguing with those words and simply take them at face value, the entire illusion collapses. Men have stopped arguing. Men have stopped debating. Men have stopped trying to fix women. Men have stopped caring about women's happiness altogether. And that indifference is the most devastating weapon of all. Because women spent decades believing male attention was their birthright. They spent decades believing they could treat men however they wanted, and men would still show up with flowers and apologies. They spent decades believing the simp army was infinite, and now the army is gone. The flowers are dead, and the only thing left is the echo of their own voices asking, where have all the good men gone? The good men are exactly where you told them to go, away. Let me take you even deeper into the mechanics of what is actually happening right now in 2025, because most people are still looking at the surface and completely missing the tectonic shift that is already locked in and accelerating. Women are not just losing male attention, they are losing the entire protective layer that men have provided to civilization for thousands of years. Men have always stood between women and the brutal, uncaring harshness of reality. We took the night shift. We fought the wars. We built the roads. We carried the heavy stuff. We fixed the power lines in the ice storm. We ran into the burning building. We worked the dangerous jobs that paid the taxes that funded the welfare state women later claimed as their new husband. And for decades, women told us loudly and proudly that they no longer needed any of that. They told us the police would protect them. The government would provide for them. Their corporate jobs would fulfill them. Their girl boss podcast would keep them warm at night. And men, being the logical, pattern recognizing, problem solving creatures that we are, simply said, cool, handle it then, and stepped aside. And now reality, that undefeated champion that never loses a single fight, is stepping into the ring with women who spent their entire fertile years shadowboxing in mirrors while men quietly exited the building. Reality doesn't care about your feelings. Reality doesn't care about your follower count. Reality doesn't care that you were lied to by your professors, your mothers, your therapist, and every rom-com you ever watched. Reality just collects. And the bill is now due in full with decades of compound interest. Let's talk about the economy women are about to inherit, because this part is going to hurt. Every single system that women were told would catch them when men walked away is collapsing. At the exact same time, men are thriving outside of it. The social safety net is shredded. The pension funds are insolvent. The healthcare system is on life support. The housing market is a joke. Inflation has eaten the middle class alive. And the same government that women voted for year after year, promising them free everything paid for by someone else's labor, is now openly admitting it cannot fulfill those promises. The money printer is broken. The debt is unpayable. The only thing left is austerity, surveillance, and control. And guess who has zero sympathy and zero intention of stepping back into that burning building to save the people who spent 50 years throwing gasoline on it? That's right. The same men who now have home gyms, crypto wallets, multiple income streams, and passports ready to leave the minute the music stops. Women are about to discover what men have always known: freedom isn't free, and someone has to pay the price. Men paid that price for centuries. Men bled in trenches. Men died in coal mines. Men worked 60 hours a week in factories with no air conditioning so their wives could stay home and their kids could eat. And when women said, we want to work too, Men said, fine, come on in, and then quietly watched as wages got cut in half because the labor pool doubled overnight. Women celebrated breaking the glass ceiling while men watched their ability to support a family on a single income disappear forever. Women were told this was liberation. The truth is, it was just taxation by another name. The government and corporations now had two incomes to tax instead of one, two workers to burn out instead of one, two lifetimes of productivity to extract instead of one. And the entire time women were cheering for their new corporate overlords, men were watching the slow motion destruction of everything that made family life possible. And now the chickens are coming home to roost in ways women never saw coming. The same women who bragged about being high value, who demanded men make six figures just to get a coffee date, are now discovering that six figures doesn't even cover rent and groceries anymore. The same women who mocked men for wanting traditional wives are now realizing that traditional wives never had to work until they dropped dead at 75. The same women who laughed at stay at home moms are now watching those same moms, now in their 50s and 60s, living in paid off houses with husbands who still love them, while the girl bosses are drowning in student debt, credit card debt, and medical debt with no one to call when the car breaks down at midnight. The dating market has flipped so completely that it's almost comical if it wasn't so tragic. Women who spent their 20s and 30s treating men like disposable entertainment options are now hitting the wall at 35 and discovering that the men they want don't even see them anymore. The top 20% of men, the ones women spent years fighting over, have completely checked out of the game. Those men are either quietly married to younger, kinder, low drama women from traditional cultures, or they are single, rich, jacked, and enjoying the kind of peace women cannot even comprehend. The bottom 80% of men, the ones women openly mocked and rejected for not meeting impossible standards, have now leveled up so dramatically that they are no longer willing to settle for the entitled high mileage, debt laden women who ignored them when they had the chance. The result? A dating market where the average woman over 30 is competing with millions of other average women for a shrinking pool of men who have zero incentive to commit and every incentive to stay free. And the cope is reaching levels that would be hilarious if they weren't so pathetic. You have women in their late 30s making TikToks saying, I don't want a man who makes less than $200K while working part-time as an Instagram influencer making $18K a year. You have women with master's degrees and $150K in student debt demanding men who are taller than 62 and make seven figures while refusing to cook or clean because that's 1950s gender roles. You have women who spent their prime years on OnlyFans, now wondering why no man wants to wife up someone whose entire sexual history is available in 4K for $9.99 a month. The delusion is off the charts because admitting the truth would require accountability, and accountability is the one thing modern women have been trained to avoid at all costs. Meanwhile, men are building parallel societies at warp speed. Men are creating invite only gyms. Men are creating private networking groups. Men are creating barter economies that operate completely outside the banking system. Men are creating international networks of brothers who share resources, knowledge, and opportunities with zero female involvement. Men are moving to countries where women still value family, respect masculinity, and understand that relationships require mutual sacrifice. Men are building lives so fulfilling, so peaceful, and so abundant that the idea of importing chaos just to say they have a girlfriend feels as insane as volunteering to go back to prison after finally being paroled. And the state is watching all of this happen with growing panic because the state knows something women still refuse to accept. Men are the only thing standing between civilization and total collapse. When men stop caring, society dies. When men stop producing at maximum capacity, economies crash. When men stop protecting, predators take over. When men stop building, everything falls apart. The state spent decades using women as a weapon to control and extract from men. And now that weapon has backfired spectacularly. The men are gone. The productivity is gone. The tax base is shrinking. The birth rate is collapsing. And the state has no choice but to tighten the screws on everyone left holding the bag, which is almost exclusively women and the low value men who never woke up. This is why you are seeing the push for digital IDs, social credit scores, carbon tracking, and online safety bills that are really just censorship and control, dressed up as protection for women and children. The state knows women will trade freedom for the illusion of safety every single time. The state knows women will cheer for surveillance if it's marketed as stopping harassment. The state knows women will vote for tyranny if it comes wrapped in the language of empowerment. And the state is moving fast because it knows the parallel economies men are building operate completely outside its reach. Cash is disappearing. Crypto is rising. Decentralized networks are growing. Physical gold and silver are being hoarded. Land is being bought in remote locations. Passports are being collected, and women are being left behind in the centralized, tracked, taxed, controlled dystopia they helped create because they prioritized the approval of other women over the protection of men. By 2030, the predictions are grim, and they are not predictions anymore. They are mathematical certainties. 45% of women aged 25, 44 will be single and childless. When you add in single mothers who will never remarry, that number climbs past 60%. AI will have eliminated most of the administrative and HR jobs that women dominate. The gig economy will be a race to the bottom. The state will be bankrupt and unable to provide even basic services. And men will be living in parallel systems that women cannot access without male sponsorship. The same women who screamed, "I don't need a man," will be completely dependent on men just to buy food, get medical care, or travel outside their surveillance zone. The irony will be so thick you could spread it on toast. And the worst part, the part that keeps me up at night sometimes, is that most women still don't see it coming. They still think this is a phase. They still think men are just going through something. They still think if they make enough TikToks crying about being lonely, men will feel guilty and come rushing back. They don't understand that guilt was the chain that kept men enslaved for generations, and that chain has been cut with a blowtorch. Men no longer feel guilty for choosing peace. Men no longer feel obligated to save people who celebrated their destruction. Men no longer care about women's happiness at the expense of their own. And that emotional detachment is permanent. The era of men sacrificing everything for women who give nothing in return is over. The era of men tolerating disrespect because happy wife, happy life is over. The era of men accepting crumbs and calling it a banquet is over. Men have seen the game. Men have read the script. Men have watched the movie before and know exactly how it ends. And millions of men have made the same quiet decision. We are not going back. Ever. Let me paint you a picture of a normal Thursday night in 2025, because this is happening in every major city right now, and almost nobody is connecting the dots. A 34-year-old woman gets off work at 7:30 p.m. after another 12-hour day grinding for a corporate job that promised her the world and delivered burnout instead. She's got a master's degree, $118,000 in student debt, and a title that sounds impressive until you realize it pays $63,000 before taxes in a city where a one-bedroom apartment costs $2,800 a month. She drags herself to the same overpriced wine bar she and her friends have been going to every week for the last 5 years, the one that used to be packed wall to wall with men buying rounds and competing for attention. She walks in tonight, and the place is dead. Two groups of women at separate tables, a couple of bored bartenders scrolling on their phones, and zero men. Not one. She posts a story. Where is everybody LOL with the crying laughing emoji because admitting the truth out loud would shatter the illusion she's still clinging to. Her friends comment fire emojis and men ain't shit anyway, sis, but the panic in their group chat later that night is palpable. The bar closes at midnight instead of 2 a.m. Now because there's no male money keeping the lights on. The owner is 3 months behind on rent. That same story is repeating itself in Miami, Austin, New York, London, Toronto, Sydney. Every playground city that women turned into a giant extraction machine is quietly dying because the golden goose realized he was being slaughtered and simply walked away. And the restaurants are next. High-end steakhouses that used to have 6-month waiting lists on Valentine's Day now have open tables on Saturday nights. Entire chains of date night restaurants are filing Chapter 11 because men stopped taking women out. Why would you spend $300 on a meal for someone who spent the last decade telling you your presence makes her feel unsafe? Men are cooking ribeyes at home for $22 and eating them in peace while watching the game with zero fear of a 3-hour argument about where this relationship is going. The female heavy brunch industry is collapsing so fast it's almost comical. Bottomless mimosas don't pay the bills when the only people ordering them are groups of women splitting the check 12 ways and tipping 8% because the service industry is exploitative. Entire sectors of the economy that were quietly subsidized by male dating spending are evaporating overnight, and nobody in the mainstream media is willing to say why. Coffee shops are empty before 10 a.m. because men stopped doing the coffee date thing years ago. Bookstores have become female only zones because men buy ebooks or audiobooks now and avoid places where they can be recorded and accused of breathing wrong. Even the grocery store dynamic has flipped. Men shop once a week with a list, AirPods in, eyes forward, get in and get out. Women used to treat the grocery store like a social runway. Now they're wandering the aisles, hoping a man will offer to reach something on the top shelf and getting nothing but indifferent glances from dudes who have noise canceling headphones and zero intention of ever speaking first. The entire public space that women spent years colonizing and monetizing through male attention has turned into a ghost town, and the silence is driving them insane. And the gyms, man, the gyms are the clearest signal of all. Women spent a decade turning commercial gyms into content studios, twerking in front of mirrors, filming every set, wearing outfits that left nothing to the imagination, and then screaming harassment the second a man dared to look in their direction for half a second. Men heard the message loud and clear and responded the only way logical creatures can. They left. Home gyms exploded, garage gyms, private lifting clubs, invite only warehouses where the only rule is no cameras and no drama. Commercial gym chains are bleeding members so fast that Planet Fitness is now openly begging men to come back with judgment free zone ads that everyone knows are a joke. Meanwhile, the serious lifters, the ones women used to orbit for attention, are training in basements with their brothers, getting stronger, bigger, and richer, while never having to deal with a single ring light influencer doing glute bridges in front of the squat rack ever again. This is the new normal, and it's spreading faster than anyone realizes. Men are building parallel everything, parallel economies, parallel social circles, parallel living arrangements. Men are buying land together in rural areas and creating compounds where the only females allowed are the ones who understand respect, reciprocity, and silence when needed. Men are forming international networks that share job opportunities, investment deals, and relocation strategies with zero female involvement. Men are creating their own dating markets in countries where women still value family over follower count. And every single day, another man wakes up, looks at the chaos he used to call a life, and quietly exits stage left to join the growing army of ghosts who used to be the backbone of society. And women are now waking up to the fact that they have been sold the most devastating lie in human history, that they could live exactly like men, sleep with whoever they wanted, delay family for a decade or two, focus entirely on career, and travel and finding themselves, and then snap their fingers at 38 and have a high value man materialize out of thin air, ready to wife them up and give them the family they suddenly decided they want. That lie has destroyed more female lives than anything else in the modern era. And and the body count is climbing every single day. The tears you see on social media are just the first wave. The real pain hasn't even started yet because biology is undefeated. The same women who are told you can have it all are now staring at fertility charts, realizing that 35 is not the new 25, no matter how many times their therapist told them that. The same women who were told your value isn't tied to motherhood are now sobbing in IVF clinics, spending their life savings on procedures with single digit success rates. The same women who were told men will always want you are now swiping on dating apps where the only matches they get are divorced dads looking for a nanny with benefits or 22-year-old crypto bros who see them as easy targets. The cope is collapsing in real time, and the fallout is going to be biblical. And the worst part is that society is still lying to young girls. Right now, today, there are 18-year-old girls being told the exact same fairy tales that destroyed the lives of the women crying on TikTok. They're being told to rack up debt for degrees that lead nowhere. They're being told to sleep around in their prime years because it's empowering. They're being told men will wait forever and that settling down at 40 is what totally realistic. They're being told their value is infinite and that men are the ones who need to lower their standards. And in 10 years, those same girls are going to be making the exact same tearful videos, wondering where all the good men went, completely blind to the fact that they were warned repeatedly by the very men they mocked and ignored. This is the cycle that ends now. Men are no longer participating in the lie. Men are no longer pretending the emperor has clothes. Men are no longer sacrificing their futures to prop up a system that hates them. Men have seen the end game and chosen a different path, and that path leads away, far away from the chaos, the entitlement, the manipulation, and the endless demands with zero reciprocity. The future is not female. The future is male, quiet, disciplined, wealthy, strong, and completely detached from the collapsing matriarchal experiment that is imploding in real time. The future is men who have zero guilt about choosing peace over chaos. The future is men who understand that solitude is not the same as loneliness. The future is men who have rebuilt their lives from the ground up with one guiding principle: never again. Let me take you forward to 2030, just 5 short years from now, because the math is already written and the trajectory is locked in. By 2030, the United States and most of the West will have more single, childless women between the ages of 25 and 45 than at any point in recorded human history. Not by a little, by an absolute landslide. The official projection is 45% childless for that cohort. But when you factor in the women who had one kid out of wedlock and will never marry, the real number is pushing 65 to 70%. That is not a dating problem anymore. That is a civilizational catastrophe dressed up as personal choice. That is tens of millions of women who were promised they could have it all, who followed the script perfectly, who did everything society told them to do, and who will wake up one day in their mid 40s with nothing but a rented apartment full of Amazon boxes, a cat that hates them, and a phone full of contacts who stopped replying years ago. And the worst part, they will still blame men. They will still say men failed them. They will still say the standards were too high. The expectations were unrealistic. The patriarchy held them back. Anything except the one truth that would actually set them free. They were lied to by other women, by the education system, by the media, by the corporations that needed their labor, and by a government that needed their taxes and their votes. They were sold a fantasy that was never possible. And the men they mocked, shamed, and discarded tried to warn them the entire time. Those men were called insecure, toxic, fragile, controlling, misogynistic, every name in the book, simply for pointing out basic math and biology. And now the bill for ignoring that math is coming due, and there is no man left willing to pay it. And because the men who saw this coming didn't just walk away from women, they walked away from the entire system that enabled the lie. They walked away from the corporate grind that treats them like disposable machines. They walked away from the tax plantation that takes half their income to fund lifestyles they're not allowed to participate in. They walked away from the cities that became open air extraction zones. They walked away from the universities that indoctrinated instead of educated. They walked away from the dating market that turned into a rigged casino. They walked away from the mainstream financial system and moved into crypto, precious metals, and cash flowing assets. They walked away from the medical system that drugs boys into submission and tells girls they're oppressed for being feminine. They walked away from everything and they built something new on the ashes of the old. And that something new is terrifying to the old system because it cannot be taxed, cannot be shamed, cannot be regulated, and cannot be stopped. It's men who live on their own terms, men who own land outright, men who generate power with solar and water with wells, men who trade skills and goods directly with other men, men who have multiple passports and multiple residences, men who speak in private forums that require biometric proof you're actually a man to even join, men who have a zero digital footprint the state can track, men who have structured their entire lives around one core principle: never again be dependent on a system that hates you. And women are watching this happen from the inside of a cage they helped build. Every new online safety bill, every digital ID push, every social credit pilot program, every CBBC trial, every 15-minute city proposal is marketed as protection for women and children. And every single time, women cheer because they still believe safety is more important than freedom. They still believe someone else will protect them. They still don't understand that the cage door only locks from the outside, and the men who used to stand between them and tyranny have permanently left the building. Look at what is already happening with OnlyFans as the perfect microcosm of where this is all headed. Millions of women were told that selling nudes was empowering, that it was feminist, that it was beating the patriarchy by taking control of their sexuality. And now, those same women are finding out the hard way that once you put your body on the internet for money, you can never take it back. The average creator makes less than $200 a month after fees, but the top 1% make millions, which means the platform turned millions of regular women into digital strippers for poverty wages while a tiny elite got rich. And every single one of those regular women now has a permanent record that will follow them for life. Job applications rejected, background checks failed, future husbands walking away the second they Google her name, family members finding the content. And the worst part, the state loves it because every transaction is tracked, taxed, and recorded. Every creator is now in a database forever. The same government that claims to protect women just turned millions of them into registered sex workers who pay taxes on their own humiliation. And the next phase is already rolling out. Subscription platforms are normalizing, sugar dating sites are mainstream, escort directories are being rebranded as elite companionship. Society is rapidly accepting that women trading sex for money is not just normal, but aspirational. College campuses have recruiters for high-end agencies giving talks about financial freedom. Influencers with blue checks brag about their arrangements. And young women are watching this and thinking it's a viable career path because the traditional path, education, career, marriage, family is collapsing in real time. The state doesn't care as long as it gets its cut. The corporations don't care as long as the data keeps flowing. And the men who would have protected these women from this fate 20 years ago are long gone. This is the future women chose when they decided men were the enemy. A future where female sexuality is the only asset society still values. And even that asset depreciates faster than a new car driven off the lot. A future where women are taxed, tracked, and traded while being told it's liberation. A future where the state becomes the only provider left, and the price of that provision is total compliance. A future where men live free in parallel systems and women live in cages they call safety. And the most brutal black pill truth of all is this: women will never admit they were wrong, not collectively, not ever. The ego protection is too strong, the social consequences are too severe. The sunk cost fallacy is too deep. They will die alone before they admit the men they mocked were right. They will blame men until their last breath. They will say men abandoned them. They will say men failed to adapt. They will say men are the problem right up until the moment the lights go out and there is no one left to hear the complaint. And because here is the final red pill bomb most men still can't swallow. Women don't actually want equality. They want the benefits of equality when it suits them and the benefits of traditional gender roles when it doesn't. They want to be CEOs during the day and princesses at night. They want to pay half the bill when the man is broke and zero when he's rich. They want to be strong and independent until the tire is flat, then suddenly it's a man's job again. They want all the upside of both systems and none of the downside of either. And the second men stop playing that game, the entire illusion collapses. Men have stopped playing permanently. And the silence you hear right now, the eerie quiet in the bars, the clubs, the restaurants, the dating apps, the grocery stores, the gyms, that silence is the sound of millions of men choosing peace over performance. That silence is the sound of the greatest walkout in human history. That silence is the sound of an entire gender finally saying no more and meaning it with every cell in their body. And women are just now starting to realize that silence is permanent. And here we are at the edge of the cliff that nobody wanted to look down until they were already falling. The year is 2025, and the greatest social experiment in human history has officially failed. The experiment that told half the population they didn't need the other half, that told women they could rebuild civilization in their image without the very men who built it in the first place, that told men their natural instincts were criminal and their sacrifices were oppression. That experiment has collapsed under its own weight, and the rubble is made entirely of broken dreams, empty apartments, frozen eggs, and tear stained ring lights. Women are now living the consequences they spent 50 years voting for, marching for, cheering for, and shaming men for warning about. They are living in a world where the state they crowned as their new husband is bankrupt. The men they told to disappear have actually disappeared. And the sisterhood they were promised would catch them turned out to be a circle of vultures picking at whatever scraps are left. They are living in a world where the word independent has become the loneliest word in the English language. They are living in a world where the phrase strong woman now comes with the unspoken subtitle alone, broke, and terrified. And the men who saw this coming, the men who were called every name in the book for refusing to board the Titanic, those men are not laughing. They're not gloating. They're not making revenge videos. They're just living quietly, calmly, powerfully. They wake up every day in homes they own outright, bodies they built themselves, bank accounts that grow while they sleep, and a peace so deep it feels like a superpower. They have zero drama, zero court dates, zero baby mama texts at 3 a.m., zero risk of coming home to an empty house and a sheriff's notice taped to the door. They have brotherhood that is forged in iron. They have purpose that doesn't depend on female approval. They have freedom that no government can tax and no woman can weaponize. That is the new masculinity. Not the loud, chest beating caricature the media tried to sell you, not the fragile, whining incel stereotype the blue pill world needs you to believe still exists. The new masculinity is quiet. It speaks in actions, not words. It builds. Instead of begging, it protects its own and ignores the rest. It has zero interest in saving a society that spent decades trying to destroy it. It has zero interest in debating women who still think feelings are arguments. It has zero interest in performing for people who never valued the performance in the first place. The men who walked away are not coming back. Not for tears, not for apologies, not for government incentives, not for viral sob stories, not for where are all the good men videos, not for any price. Because peace is priceless. And once you've had it, you realize everything else was just noise. And the women who are just now waking up to this reality are going through the 5 stages of grief in real time, all at once on camera for the world to see. Denial. This is just a phase. Men will come back when they get tired of being alone. Anger. Men are cowards. Men are weak. Men are the problem. Bargaining. Okay, maybe we went too far. Maybe if we lower our standards a little, maybe if we start cooking again. Depression. The endless crying videos, the wine at noon posts, the therapy sessions that never fill the hole. And acceptance will never come. Because accepting the truth would require admitting they were wrong on a civilizational scale. And the female ego simply cannot survive that level of accountability. So instead, they double down. They demand the government do something. They demand men be forced back into the plantation. They demand new laws, new taxes, new incentives, new social credit penalties for men who refuse to date, marry, or provide. And every time they make those demands, another million men quietly disappear deeper into the parallel society that is growing stronger every single day. Because here is the part nobody wants to say out loud. Men are the prize now. For the first time in modern history, men hold all the cards. Men control the commitment. Men control the resources. Men control the parallel economies. Men control the future. And women, for the first time ever, are the ones who have to audition, who have to prove value, who have to compete for scraps of attention from men who no longer need anything they offer. That reversal is permanent. The power dynamic has flipped and it will never flip back. Because the men who hold the power now have zero incentive to give it away again. They've seen where that road leads. They've read the divorce statistics. They've watched their fathers destroyed. They've watched their brothers ruined. They've watched their friends turned into shells of themselves by women who took everything and gave nothing. And they have made a collective, unbreakable vow: never again. So when you see another video of a woman crying into her phone, asking, "Where have all the good men gone?" understand that the answer is simple and it will never change. The good men are exactly where you told them to go. They're gone. They're at peace. They're thriving, and they're never coming back. The future belongs to the men who refused to die for a society that hated them. The future belongs to the men who chose brotherhood over begging. The future belongs to the men who built something new instead of trying to fix something broken. The future belongs to the men who looked at the burning building, turned around, and walked away without looking back. And if you're a young man watching this right now, hear me clearly. Your peace is your power. Your standards are your shield. Your purpose is your sword. Protect them with your life. Never trade them for anything less than reciprocity, respect, and peace. Never apologize for wanting a family with a woman who values you. Never apologize for wanting peace over chaos. Never apologize for walking away from anything that disrespects your time, your energy, or your future. And if you're a woman watching this and feeling that knot in your stomach, understand this: the door is not closed forever for every individual woman, but it is closed forever for the entitled, the disrespectful, the manipulative, and the ungrateful. The men who are left standing are looking for peace, loyalty, femininity, and reciprocity. If you can bring those things to the table without an attitude, without a past that disqualifies you, and without expecting the world in return for basic human decency, there is still hope. But the window is closing fast, and the price of admission is now humility, accountability, and genuine change. Anything less, and you will be left behind with the rest of the wreckage. The age of male sacrifice is over. The age of female consequence has begun. What did you think about everything we just went through today? Do you agree? Do you see it playing out in your own city, your own friend group, your own family? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because I read every single one, and the best ones get pinned. Like the video, if it hit you in the chest the way it was supposed to. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell and select all so YouTube can't hide this from you. Share this video with every man who needs to hear it before it's too late. And just remember, all roads lead to MWA. Men walking away. Cheers.
Nothing says you care like crypto. Nothing can compare. Nothing says you care like crypto. Oh, nothing can compare to crypto.